Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Toon review. Tonight, obviously, is the match review from last night, which finished, of course, Liverpool 2, Newcastle United 0, as I believe Spurs have just gone 2-0 up as well. And there you go. What I would say about the match yesterday is anything that possibly could have gone wrong, went wrong. It was a very strange game. To be fair, battered them the first 10 minutes, absolutely battered them. From where I was sitting up in the box, it looked like, come on, this is for the taking. Defensively, they looked all over the place. And then they hit us with a counter-attack twice, and I have to say the defending was nothing short of a shambles for both goals. Switching off, we had to go with Dan Burn last week for switching off. I'm sorry, Kieran Trippier stopped as well, appealing for handball. It's got to stop. It's play at the whistle kind of thing. But look, there was some decent displays yesterday. There was a very, very hearty display by a lot of those players that were on the pitch. But we'll come on to everything in just a second, because the lineup for me confused me. I wasn't expecting that at all. But then again, what do we expect with Eddie Howe? Alex, you're raising your eyebrow, but I honestly thought he'd go 4-2-3-1 yesterday. I didn't expect him to start Anderson.
We did mention in the preview show that was the curveball option, is going with Elliot Anderson in the midfield three and persisting with the original formation. So we knew it was a possibility, and obviously he went with it. And it's as predicted. He used Richie as the kind of, we'll have to plug you in if somebody needs to come off. And it's as we predicted. That was, if he went with that, that is what he would do, and it's what he did. Matt Ritchie again with extra minutes that I never thought. And again, I said this to Billy yesterday. He didn't do that bad. He doesn't do that bad whenever he's on the pitch.
Ritchie was on. He put a couple of great crosses in.
Yeah, just for some reason, I've just got a really bad memory of Tranmere and previous games. But he's been all right when he's
nobody on the end of crosses again, and it's really annoying. But we'll come on to all that. Chippers is looking back on the game. I thought that was our best performance for weeks. We looked a threat even with 10 men against. Just couldn't take our chances. Nunez's goal was lucky with a miscontrol. How are the lads? I'm not sure it was a miscontrol. I think Nunez knew exactly what he was doing there.
Goal.
It was
Put
a good goal.
Through it.
Yeah. Alan says, even all, I thought it was a good game. The first 10 minutes were better. We were the better team. Then we had a mad 20 minutes, letting 2 goals in, and Pope getting sent off. But after that, we played out of our skin. Chipper says, also, can anyone tell me why Sabitzer wasn't sent off? Because he plays for Manchester United. That's blatantly obvious these days.
I was whinging about this just before we went live. I said the same thing.
Yeah. Johnny the Donny says, Karius redemption. Absolutely. Rising like a phoenix from the flames. We'll come on to all it. It's madness. Afternoon all, says Tom, a crazy 15 minutes aside. We played well last night. Pope will be devastated. We just have to hope that Loris can carry us through. He's not a bad keeper. I like what you've done there, Tom. Tom Dixon says St. Maximin was outstanding yesterday. I agree. Best player on the park for us by a mile. Tom says, I thought Maxi was quality, such a threat in a way he hasn't been for some time. Ian says, in all honesty, remember our Pope in the deck chair comments. It might not be such a disaster. Tom says, I wonder what Dubravka thinks of it. Must be a very awkward situation for him. I can't help but feel a bit angry towards him. He pushed that move. Yeah, well, when he came on yesterday, he didn't exactly get a big reception either. It was very muted in the Gallagher end when he came on and he ran to the Gallagher. There was applause, but there wasn't like the euphoria of what it is when sort of Nick Pope or Darlow goes in there. It was very, very subdued, I have to say. And I don't think a lot of Newcastle fans have quite forgotten.
Well, it's a prime example of the grass isn't always greener on the other side, is it? He went to Manchester United. Obviously, he got offered. It was an option, fair enough. And he thought it might be a chance for him to grab a cheeky trophy or this or that. And if he'd have just stayed put, he'd have been in the situation where he could win one for us. So I'm sure he's kicking himself.
Billy, I think he's coming back to kick us in the arse at the minute.
In some respects, absolutely. The transfer policy of the January window certainly is. Yeah. The way we play the game, 100 miles an hour for 90 minutes, and having such a shallow depth of squad, certainly is. And I think Eddie Howe's reluctance to change the system when he could have yesterday, no one would have said anything. It was a chance to try it out. And actually, if we'd have played 4-2-3-1, Liverpool don't score those goals because we're 10 yards deeper for starters.
Yeah, good point. Peter says, good evening all. I do hope that people have calmed down from their temper tantrums after full time yesterday. Just remember where this club was a little over a year ago and grow up. Peter, I agree to a certain extent, but I think we need to start forgetting now, going on about just remember where the club was a year or a year and a half ago. That's gone now. That's in the past. We are now in the present and the future. It's pointless saying, remember what happened, remember where we were, because we all know where we were. We will never forget that. But what we need to concentrate on now is the future. And look, I don't know who was having temper tantrums yesterday. It certainly wasn't me. I left the ground quite positive yesterday.
I've seen a few people really having a go at Pope, which is amazing because he's been the best keeper in the league.
Look,
up until that point. Can
we just say on the Nick Pope sending off, right? People are calling him stupid and things like that. What happened was, you look at the incident very closely. All that happened was he thought that ball was going to bounce higher and not come down as quick as it did, so he could just head it out to play. And then when you're a goalkeeper, every goalkeeper will say this, your instinct is to get your hands around the ball. Whether you're outside the box, inside the box, even ex-professionals will tell you that. He misjudged the bounce. That's all he did. But you look later on in the game and you look how slow Dubravka was coming off his line compared to Nick Pope. So all the idiots out there having to go at him, would you rather have somebody who is like a tractor coming out of his line or Nick Pope, who does it brilliantly 99% of the time? Blaming Nick Pope is just a disgrace considering how good he's been for us this season. But again, I've seen people wanting Eddie Howe out again. Honestly, these people are numbnuts, complete and utter numbnuts who don't know football.
First loss at St James's Park this season.
God almighty, honestly, it's pathetic. And, they call themselves fans saying, yes, don't get me wrong, right? Eddie Howe, I think, should be questioned a bit for yesterday, and we'll talk about that a bit later on. But just because you criticise the manager, I mean, Alex, you can look confused, but I've got some complaints.
That's fine. I'm interested to hear what they are.
Because we criticise, it doesn't mean we want him out the door. Those of you that are banging on saying, we want him out, it's pathetic. Honestly, I don't know what football games you go to, but Jesus Christ. But I thought, listen, the crowd were brilliant yesterday, stayed with the team all the way through the game. Some wonderful songs for Atsu and Bobby Robson, and the songs kept going. Eddie Howe's Black and White Army was sung quite a lot of the game, and the lads did respond. They gave it the best efforts. Maxi hitting the bar, a wonderful save, I have to say, but onto the bar. Then I think it was Dan Burns header off the bar from a corner. But the big thing is, Billy, we still not putting chances away. And, Isak had a good 1 second half where he ballooned it over the bar. And then Callum Wilson's. I mean, how many times are we going to say this now?
I think the Callum Wilson one he should have scored. However, it was a fantastic save from Alisson, who in actual fact was Liverpool's best player, in my opinion.
Well, he was, yeah. But
it was absolutely outstanding. He should have scored, mind. The Isak one, the ball was behind him. I think he did well to get a shot close to target. He had more time than what he thought he had. Obviously, there's no communication there, but it's spinning. He's hitting it on the spin. The ball's behind him for Maxi. Maxi does well to get the ball to him, in actual fact. It's slightly behind him, so he has to turn and hit it, and it's literally that far over the bar. That far. It's a great effort. Dan Burns should have scored from the header. The goals just ain't going at the minute. It's worrying.
Miggy in the first 5 minutes as well.
Miggy should definitely have scored, but that's another fantastic save from Alisson. He stuck his hand out the knee.
Yeah. You've got to give credit where credit's due. Alisson was superb yesterday, but that says a lot about how we played when we went to down to 10 men. We still kept at it, but Maxi was haunting them. He was giving them all sorts of, he was getting the ball. He was running at pace. He was giving certainly Trent an absolute nightmare. They didn't know if he was coming inside or out. He put in some. Who
ball, knew he's actually good at football?
Well, The ball in the second half, that one he hit to Isak when, just on about it there.
The way he got that through.
He drove the ball across this 18-yard box from the touchline. It was an impeccable ball.
He found Isak. He had 2 on him and 2 in between in the box as well. So he managed to bypass 4 players to get it to Isak.
Yeah.
And he did the same to Miggy in the first 5 minutes as well.
Yeah. I mean, look, I thought he was outstanding yesterday, but it wasn't to be. But I am worried about our chances, just not putting them away. I think, Fabian Schär struggled a little bit yesterday. But, I mean, what did you think of Trippier for the goals? Because he switched off for both of them for me.
It happens. He's not, is that the right word? Infallible? I think that's the right word. He's going to make mistakes. He's one of the best in Europe. They still do make mistakes. 90% of the time, he's very, very elite and professional at the finicky, finer parts of the game. And that was one of the things. You don't see him mess that up very often. It's fine. It happens. They will make mistakes. Botman's going to end up making mistakes this season. Bruno's going to make mistakes. They're all going to make mistakes at some point.
But are we, Alex, making too many mistakes now? We're making these mistakes seem to be creeping into the game in recent weeks.
That was a freak game. I mean, right. So I've saved something from Kev on Twitter. So since we've restarted on Boxing Day, we've scored 5 from an XG of 12.59. So we should have scored over 7 more goals than we've actually scored. Yeah. We're just getting very unfortunate in front of goal. And then when you put on top of that, things like happened yesterday, it's a freak accident. Pope, it's just one of those things. We're probably not going to see that again for a very long time. It's just a shame. So it's a conjunction of goals just not going in and a bit of unluckiness. We won't, this cold streak won't continue forever. We will buck it at some point. To be fair, pre-World Cup, we were running very hot. A few of those games, like the Brentford game and the Southampton game, I think the Southampton game on XG was 1-1 and we scored 4. So there were games where the lads were just hitting whatever they were touching was going in the back of the net. So this has come back to bite us in terms of XG. It's evened out a bit, but we are performing well. We should have had 12 goals. We've got 5. It will come. It will come. They're playing well. They're getting high value opportunities. It's just one of those things.
Ian Fleming, thanks for your £5 super chat. He says, Paul, have you heard if the Toon has pulled out of the final? Just all the pundits have Man United winning the final before it's even played. Oh, well, this is why I want to so badly win next week, is because it'll just shut the bastards up. It's all about Man United, how brilliant they are now under Ten Hag and what a wonderful bunch of players they've got. And kiss my ass, right? There's 2 teams in this final. Simple as that. But we know all the build-up on Sky will be for Man United. It will be about how good they are, what they've done since Ten Hag took over. And we will get a brief mention, but the rest will all be a massive orgy about Manchester United. It always is. So that's just something that we're used to now. Toon Gamer says, I was puzzled why Gordon didn't start as cup-tied and rested Almiron. This is what I want to question, Billy. It seemed to me like I didn't understand why Gordon didn't start the game. I'm baffled by that. And also why it took him so long to change it in the second half.
Yeah,
that's this is what I have a gripe about with Eddie Howe for yesterday, is that I think the changes should have been made at half time to bring Gordon on, because what's the point of keeping Miggy on the pitch? We're 2-0 down. We've got 10 men. It's pointless. Get him off for a rest and get Gordon on, who can't play next week. It doesn't make sense to me at all, Billy.
They were floating around the pitch, weren't they? The front 3 were kind of fluctuating between right, left, centre.
Yeah,
there was no one static at all. And they're going to run out of steam sooner or later. And I didn't think Mickey did too badly, but it makes sense to get him off earlier actually and get Gordon on. I thought Gordon should have started the game. I thought he should have played in the same role as he did last week. And I thought we should have gone with the 4-2-3-1.
Yep.
Especially as Doug has spoke to us on Thursday about how they're playing more long balls. Alex's stats bore that out perfectly. The 4-2-3-1 is a safety way of playing against teams that do that and hit on the counter, long ball over the top. So I don't know if Eddie Howe had done his homework or not, but he's quite clearly confident in the formation we play in, and that's why he went where he did, and that involved Miggy, Maxi, and Isaac up front. I just thought he was throwing Elliot Anderson in the deep end yesterday, and I felt sorry for him, actually.
He did all right. He did all right.
Yeah.
But obviously the sending off, it was always going to be him that came off, wasn't it? It wasn't going to be anybody else.
I mean, the sending off, you can also blame Trippier for, because the free kick that came before that was absolutely horrendous. And I made a comment at the time and said, he could go for goal here. Look how far out Alisson is. He was literally standing past the 6-yard box. He tried to curve it in, straight with his arms, and off they went. And then play was off. He could have actually shot the goal.
Yeah, I don't think they just didn't choose the 4-2-3-1 for, I'm sure it was a consideration because they shifted to it last week. So it's definitely in their mind. It was definitely an option.
I just think Eddie Howe's, I just think that sometimes he's blinkered with his 4-3-3, Alex, and he's had a couple of opportunities to change it for games and he doesn't. Yesterday would have been a perfect one for me to play 4-2-3-1. And I think given, Liverpool defensively were awful yesterday. Absolutely awful.
And a lot of people keep rebuttaling me and possibly you. You might have had this. People keep saying, but they just took their foot off the gas.
Well, they didn't.
I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that at all. We played well and they couldn't handle us in certain phases and we just couldn't get the ball in the bloody net. It was our own fault, but we were getting 9/10 of the way there. And by the way, I thought that it was the right call to keep Miggy on until when he went off, because I thought Gordon was shocking when he came on. Absolutely shocking.
I don't think he was that bad, Alex.
I think he was shocking.
He lost the ball a few times, dribbles, but he also created some opportunities.
If that was Maxi, they'd have been out with the pitchforks straight away.
But it's a difficult time for Gordon to come on in that game. We're down to 10 men and things like that. He should have started the game. But
maybe
you're making the point there about people saying, they took the foot off the gas. Did the bollocks, because if you listen to Jurgen Klopp after the game, he was furious that Liverpool didn't go and get another couple of goals. And when they missed those simple opportunities towards the end of the half, the second half, he was going ballistic on the touchline. When they were trying to walk it in instead of just finishing it.
Yeah, because I think Klopp was nervous that we were going to get back into that game.
Well, had Callum Wilson scored when he had that chance, that last 10 minutes would have been very
well could have done. Klopp could see that we were in that game and he was nervous. He was concerned that these missed chances were going to come back to bite them. Obviously, it didn't, but you could see he was concerned.
Yeah.
I mean, Gordon did put Wilson through for that chance. Let's not forget.
Yes, he did.
Apart from that, he was pretty bad, I've got to say. The time when James Milner took the ball off him like he was taking candy off a baby was ridiculous.
Well,
really.
Look, I'm not having to go at him because it was a difficult time to come on in that game.
He just tried a little bit too hard, maybe.
But you can understand that. It's Liverpool. Yeah. We're down to 10 men. He doesn't want to lose the game. He's trying to do a little bit too much. But look, he's trying things, and I'm not going to have a go at him for trying things, whether he loses the ball or not. It's the same with Maxi. Maxi tried a lot yesterday. A lot came off, and he was a constant threat. I don't know whether it was his new bandages, but he looked like the frigging mummy out there. But I think
he looks better against better teams anyway, because he gets a bit more space. Yeah. He's not. Again, we need to. It's something we never do. Is that we will play the same system, the same shape, and the same style against a low block or against a top European side. Ooh. And Maxi looks great against Man City. He looks great against Liverpool. He looks good against good sides because he gets more space. Yeah. And against a low block, he gets doubled up on far too much, and then he looks worse. Is that the manager's fault? Is that Maxi's fault for being less flexible? I mean, to be fair, Miggy looks bad in low blocks as well. Against low blocks, Miggy's awful against low blocks. So we need to find different ways.
Well, Anders, I think you've had an absolute Castoria here, my friend. Do the club sack Howe if we lose the final? One win in the last 8 league games is bad. But he blames the club for selling Shelvey, not replacing him, but it's always the manager who gets the sack.
You can flip-flop that stat, but until the loss, we were 17 unbeaten.
Yeah.
So you can spin the narrative any way you want.
Yeah. And it is. A lot of people will spin narratives when we start losing games. But look, we've lost 1. We've lost 2 all season. For Christ's sake. I mean, I don't get these. You just know when, Newcastle, and I think, to be fair, people got a shock last night when they watched my reaction, because I think they were expecting me to go, blue in the face about losing the game. But you can't, when you watch the game, when you watch it properly and you see what we did in that game, and you see that the lads didn't drop their heads, the effort was there. Even the subs when they came on, Richie, Murphy, they all did their part in trying to get us back into the game. Look, it was never going to be for me because Liverpool, the controlled possession a lot of the time, just knocking it around the defence and midfield. They can play out a game all they want. But, that's why Klopp was annoyed at the end of the game, is because they didn't go out and kill it. And they knew we'd hit the bar twice. Then Callum Wilson's big opportunity would have made that last 10 minutes a very interesting one, Billy. But again, we just can't hit the back of the net.
Yeah, it's worrying. It's worrying. But I think once one goes in, I think we'll get a load in. And as for mad comments, one yesterday I had, and it's the worst I think I've ever seen on any channel. Who the man in the chat said, I can't remember what his name was now, I don't really want to repeat it, but he wants to replace Eddie Howe with Jesse Marsh.
I'm sorry?
He wants to replace Eddie Howe with Jesse Marsh. I kid you not.
Definitely American.
Why?
Didn't say why. Just said he thought he'd do well for us.
Oh, dear God. Better than Eddie Howe? Yeah, okay. See, it's just... I mean, Andrew says I'm still angry with Nick Pope. I mean... Andrew, I don't get why you're annoyed with him. I'm sorry. I just, yes, it's frustrating because he got sent off. But you know what? If you watch it in slow motion, I've watched it over and over again. And, he is expecting that ball to bounce up to a decent level where he can head the ball away. And unfortunately, it just dropped like a brick. It just dropped like a brick. And he was in trouble the minute it did that. Now, yes, people say he could have gone and just cleared it with his foot. But he was already committed to heading the ball. And, it's just pure instinct for a goalkeeper to put his hands on the ball. So I wouldn't say, I'm certainly not angry with him. I think it's frustrating. But listen, the one man that will be hurting the most is Nick Pope himself, not being able to play the final. So I think everybody piling on him saying, I'm still angry with him, or he was an idiot for what he did. Think how he feels now. He's not going to play in the final. That Newcastle have an opportunity to win a trophy, first one domestically since 1955, and Nick Pope won't be a part of that. So he will be hurting today and very frustrated. Updated XG stats on FotMob, we actually have more than Liverpool, 2.04 to 1.8. Well, we outshot them yesterday. That's the strange
14
thing.
to 13, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yesterday when I came on at the end of the match with Billy, the XG stat actually favoured Liverpool slightly. And post-game, they do clean it up and check shots and things. And today's updated stats have us beating them on XG. So we had more shots, better XG. We both missed 3 big chances. And considering we were down a man for most of that game, we really should have taken points from that game, in my opinion. I think we played well enough to take points. It's a real shame we didn't.
I mean, people are banging on about Liverpool going to make a chance for the top 4 in this. I'll tell you what now, their defence is terrible. They were all over the place at the back yesterday. We ran them ragged at the back at times. And they looked so disjointed.
They lost 3-0 to Wolves for a reason.
Exactly. I think Robertson, he did all right. He's a very good left back. We all know that. Trent was, don't get me wrong, going forward, Liverpool's passing in the final third was superb. The little one-touch and moves and things like that. It was absolutely brilliant to watch. But defensively, wow. You said that about Trent for a long time, Billy, that he's just not a defender. And
he was a 10 out of 10 going forward, and it was a 0 out of 10 defending. It was just ridiculous, really. Some of the stuff he was doing going forward was unreal, but some of the stuff at the back was pathetic.
He needs to move into Henderson's role. I think this experiment's over now. He needs to be a midfielder.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I think he's a right midfielder, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. George says, do you think we'll try and appeal the Pope red card? No. I think it'd be ludicrous to appeal. I know Eddie Howe's come out and said it was harsh. I don't understand where he's coming at with that.
I've screenshotted a few of the written rules, and it's not as bad as it sounds. I don't know. I don't think we'd appeal it, but so it's the goalkeeper has the same restrictions on handling the ball as any other player outside the penalty area. If the offence is playing the ball the second time, so it's not that bit. So the goalkeeper must be sanctioned if the offence stops a promising attack or denies an opponent or the opposing team a goal or an obvious goal scoring opportunity. So obviously everybody's pointing to the last man goal scoring opportunity, and then they're using Longstaff being back as the evidence for why it shouldn't have been a red card. But in the specific rules, it does say stops a promising attack or denies an opponent. So it doesn't have to be last man. It is a subjective rule. And I think if the referee's interpreting it that way, we can't argue with it. If the rule just says last man and goal scoring opportunity, then we might have a case. But the fact it says promising attack means they can just interpret it that, we won't win that appeal.
The thing is, Alex, right? When was the last time that you saw a goalkeeper handle outside the box and not be sent off?
Barthez.
Well, it happened last year, didn't it? It happened to Martinez last year. Remember when we played at Villa, but it was only because Wilson was a
because Wilson was off. Well, apparently, Wilson with his size 15 shoes was offside. But
I've just got memories of. I'm pretty sure that was against us, wasn't it? That was Barthez was at Marseille, and he bounced it out. He literally bounced it outside the area and got nothing. I think that was a European game, wasn't it? That was us against them.
Yeah, against Marseille. Yeah,
Bosnich did it as well in the game that preceded Bobby Robson's sacking.
Okay, I'll rephrase it. It's very rare that a goalkeeper handles the ball outside the box and doesn't get sent off.
Yeah, that's true.
Most of the time, the referees get the red card out quicker than the Dutch hookers knickers. It's incredible. Ian Fleming, thank you for another £5, mate. He says, Alex, that keeper you were on about yesterday is Jude Smith from East Fife.
Oh, thank you. Yes, that's the one.
Yeah, he's our under 21 goal. He's a kid on loan. Good goalkeeper, but look, I had to laugh when Eddie said, I've got a decision to make over Karius and Gillespie. I thought, now, you put Gillespie in, Sunshine, and you will feel the wrath of the Newcastle fans because he is just there. He is just there as a comic. He's there as a comic. He serves no purpose. Look, if Gillespie started that game, we may as well write it off. I think Karius, this is his chance for redemption. We all know what happened in the last big final he was in. But I didn't realize, guys, that he was actually concussed in that game very early on with a clash with Sergio Ramos.
He got kneed in the head.
And I think
that's why he made those errors.
Yeah, not much is made of that. But you saw at the end of that game when he was going around applauding the Liverpool fans and actually saying sorry to them. I mean, it was so heartbreaking. For him to be able to have this opportunity now to help win a trophy for Newcastle, I mean, the guy could get legendary status and he's hardly played a game.
He might only play one game and it could be a cup final winning performance.
Exactly. Now, Wes says we've got a game in hand, so league position should hopefully take care of itself, as Eddie says. I mean, Billy, after the final, I mean, the league table isn't looking all that bad, to be honest.
We're now fifth, but game in hand over Spurs takes us back into fourth if we win it. The game in hand, I believe, is against Arsenal at home, though, isn't it?
Well, that doesn't scare Arsenal at home. Doesn't quite scare me as much.
With Pope and Bruno back, with everybody back, then it's less scary. But we need everybody back if we're going to beat teams of that caliber.
Well, I think Bruno being back is going to be massive for us, guys. I think we all know that. I think we all know how much we've missed him. He is a massive miss to the team. But I think more than anything, not just the team, but I think he's a bigger miss to the back four. I think the back four miss him dreadfully.
Yeah, definitely.
Because they just look so...
He is the linchpin.
Yeah.
He is the main piece of the puzzle. He was the main part of the spine, literally.
I think getting Bruno back is going to be massive for Wembley. And I think that's why I have to laugh at the likes of Sky and that writing us off, because we are a very, very different team with Bruno in the middle, basically. We are a very, very different team.
100%. And it's just the fact if we had our top goalkeeper, I'd be pretty confident in winning the game. And I'm still confident in winning the game, but if the good carriers turns up or the bad carriers turns up.
Well, I think we'll play well next week. I think we've got some good players on that pitch next week, and they'll be up for the fight. And they will not want to let Manchester United win another game. They just won't want to lose it.
Well, just remember as well, the last and only time Karius has played for us was in the Saudi friendly when we actually lifted a trophy, technically.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Who knows?
Now, obviously, news broke yesterday morning regarding this man, Christian Atsu. Absolutely devastating news because obviously we know his partner still lives in Newcastle with the kids. And I heard at the ground yesterday, actually, that he was due to come home to Newcastle, but decided to stay in Turkey a little bit longer. And, you know, the rest is history, as they say. But a massive loss, Billy, not just to, obviously, the footballing world, but his family as well.
Well, they were in the crowd, weren't they? His partner and his two children. And the partner was in absolute bits, and why wouldn't she be?
Yeah.
The two kids were clapping along with the minutes of applause. And can I just also say that a lot of people were criticising Liverpool supporters for singing.
Yeah, they were singing that on behalf of Atsu.
They were singing "You'll Never Walk Alone." It's their song of solidarity, and
which, by the way, Billy, is exactly what we did when I don't know whether you can remember a couple of seasons ago. I think it was some kind of Hillsborough anniversary, and they did a minute's silence, and the Newcastle fans started singing "You'll Never Walk Alone." I think it was against West Ham. We started singing "You Never Walk Alone," and I saw that yesterday. You know, fans coming out and saying, "Oh, horrible Scousers for singing that during the minute's applause." I thought it was a nice touch. You know,
I don't like it.
Why?
I'm not angry with it. If it's their choice, that's fine. A few people have been angry. I'm not angry. I just don't think it's appropriate because it means something to them, not to everyone. It's like, for example, in New Zealand, they do the haka. The warrior dance at funerals, graduations. Now, you know, if I've gone and lived in New Zealand and stuff, I don't want a haka at my funeral. Like, I know it's their way, but it's not my way.
No, but it's their club song, and they were singing it on behalf of Atsu. So
Atsu never played for Liverpool.
But they were singing there as a respect to Christian Atsu.
Yeah, and if I lived in New Zealand and I died, they would. But they would, if they did the haka at my funeral because I had New Zealand connections or I lived there, that would be their way of honouring it. But it's not what I would want.
It's not just Liverpool's anthem, though, is it? It's a footballing anthem, and Christian Atsu was a professional footballer, and they were showing solidarity.
I mean, Alex, to be honest, if I was at your funeral and we, somebody started doing the haka, I would piss myself laughing. Sad event, all it would be, but I couldn't help myself.
I just think if it's planned, like if it's planned, fine. But if what was planned was an applause, do the applause.
It wasn't. No, it was supposed to be a minute's silence.
Well,
he came on the tannoy and said we're going to have a minute's silence, but the clapping had already started before the referee. The referee didn't blow his whistle to start the clapping, and then Liverpool fans started singing that. I just thought it was lovely.
I'm not angry either. It's just personal preference. Like if they want to do that, that's fine. I'm not. I just want to put it out there. I'm not angry with them.
No.
I'm more angry at the cameras. For putting the camera on the wife's face crying. I thought that was inappropriate.
Well,
if you're gonna move the cameras away from a head injury,
absolutely
don't show that poor woman. That was in bad taste.
Who was going through absolute shocking. That 100% right on that. But that's just Sky all down, to a T, isn't it? Really, they just don't give a shit. But look, "You'll Never Walk Alone" to me is a very special football song, right? And I don't always associate with Liverpool. Yes, Liverpool have took it as their anthem, as of Celtic, but I think it's a footballing anthem. I think it was a nice touch, because, listen, we know what we think of Liverpool, but there is some decent Liverpool fans. And I think it was just, I don't think they realised that they were going to upset anybody by singing it because they thought it was their gesture.
Which is exactly why I'm not bothered. Because I get that, because I'm aware that they did it with good intentions, which is great. I just think it would have been more appropriate, in my personal preference, to just clap because it's
it might not have been the best thing to do, but they did it with the best intentions.
But it's not the fact that they did it with good intentions is good.
Now, I also had the pleasure of bumping into this man before we went into the ground yesterday. Really, really down to earth bloke, really nice guy, when we were walking up behind him, I actually turned around to Phoebe and said, "There's Bruno's dad."
He does look like him a little bit.
From the back, he definitely does. But then when I got round the front, I thought, bloody hell, it's Lauren Robert. So you know, I stood there and I thought, should I ask him for a photo and that? Because obviously loads of people were around him to try and get autographs and photos and stuff. But it was great. And then this before kickoff was just magical. Somebody came on and read out that quote.
That is my favorite quote in football. That is.
It was very, very moving. Because I don't think anybody expected that flag in the East Stand. Everybody thought it was going to be the Gallagher. But when the East Stand started, it just, everybody raised that flag with perfect timing. And it just seemed to be very, very special. Very special. And what a guy, what a man, what a manager. But then they started playing Ness and Dormer, and somebody blew a few amps in the speakers because the speakers went dreadful after that. It was like being back at an old League One ground where they've got like one little speaker at the side of the ground to play them. It was terrible.
Yeah, I've heard a few people complaining about this tannoy and everything.
Oh God, there's still certain aspects of that football ground that need putting right, man. It needs to happen. Adria says that's Paul, Alex, and Billy. The ref was the wrong decision. Dan Burn VAR should go to the screen and give Dan Burn a penalty. For what?
Dan Burn needed a penalty? I don't know what you're on about.
No. Stiff Gator says Bruno back next week. We're a completely different proposition with him in our side. Ryan Foster says it's going to take a big effort from Miggy and ASM to get our hands on that cup, as I'm not impressed with Isak. I'd rather go with Wilson.
Were you impressed with Wilson's performance when he came on?
I thought Isak was fantastic yesterday. I thought it was fantastic.
I thought Isak was all right, yeah.
I wouldn't go as far as fantastic, but I thought, look, there was promising link-ups with Maxi down the left, without a doubt. And what I did like was when Maxi would go left, Isak kind of came, Maxi went in the middle, Isak came left, and they kind of just swapped, and that's what confused Liverpool a lot. Trent was all over the shop looking at who should I bloody mark here. So I think there's definite potential there between those two.
Well, once Bruno's back, whoever's on the left side, obviously it's not going to be Willock for now. If he's injured, it will be Joe Linton. But when Bruno's back, it means we can have an extra player go and join that, of a better standard. So it means hopefully we'll have Joe Linton with Max and Isak in little triangles trying to do fun things. I think that would also work quite well with Willock, because I think that's Willock's strength, is doing these little dinky, against the Southampton goal when he was instrumental in that little finicky build-up. That's when he's at his best. And Joe Linton can kind of do similar.
Francisco, I'm not sure whether you've had a little bit too much of the old with this. Here's a wild suggestion. How about switching Miggy to left back, given how good he's been covering for trips defensively, and put Gordon up top? Thoughts?
It's Francisco really Steve Bruce. That's my
Francisco,
thought.
I love you, brother. I love you like a brother. But my God, have a word with take your face for an immediate shite, my man.
Did you not see Miggy's yellow card when he was tracking back into the left back position yesterday? That is a prime example of why he can't play that position, because he's a terrible tackler. He mistimes all of it, and then he gets. Did you see yesterday was the second yellow card all season? I can't believe it, because Miggy always does one terrible foul a game, and he gets up and smiles, and he gets away with it every match. He's terrible at tackling.
Yeah. I think enough said on that, Francisco, but we still love you very much. Julie J says, these are little gripes I have with Eddie. We're getting found out. Tactics are getting a bit samey. Gordon should have started the game and rested Miggy, Gordon, ASM, and Isak as the front three. I think that's what a lot of people expected.
Though. I don't think Miggy did anything wrong.
No, I don't.
Ideally, he should have scored that first chance, but
people aren't saying he played badly, Alex. I think they're just saying that, give him a rest and have him really fresh for the cup final.
Maybe.
And maybe that's why I'm saying took him off at half time, because for me,
he played 64 minutes. He's rested enough, I reckon. He's got a week off now, played just over an hour. He'll be fine.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Ricky says Pope came running out to Rashford and Fred missed an open goal. He also suffered from nerves playing for England and made mistakes. Other than that, he's been brilliant. Well, I think he's been brilliant. Full stop. As simple as that.
I think his head was scrambled because I think he thought he should have come out quicker to Gakpo. He was slow getting out to him, wasn't he? And after that, he thought, well, I'm going to be alert from now on. What actually happened was Longstaff missed the clearance. It went through his legs, or
it did.
Out.
Yeah.
And actually, Pope was on his way back, and once Longstaff missed that, he panicked and went for the ball. Lots of things happened that
it was that split-second decision, Billy, wasn't it, that he had to make, and look, he got it wrong. But Jesus, some of the fans saying, "Oh, he should be ashamed of himself."
It's a result of the play style. We talked when we were choosing, when we did the goalkeeper show in the summer, when we were looking at all the options. Obviously, Pope was included in the list. We bore him for a specific reason, and it's for exactly what he does, which is sweeper keeper, very fast off his line. He's still in the top 9 in the 99th percentile in Europe for it. 2.52 defensive actions outside the penalty area per 90. And I've got his stats here. So goals against, 15. And they should have scored past him, 17.2. So Nick Pope directly has saved us 2.2 goals. Just him on his own, one player. That's not... And then a few defenders have also made blocks and goal line clearances. So we are 2.2 goals better off defensively because of just Nick Pope. It's a risky play style, and he does it very well. He's made one error for us.
Yeah, I know.
And he will make more. This play style comes with the territory. He will make another mistake at some point, but it's going to be better.
99% of the time, he saves goals because he's so quick off his line.
Exactly.
You look like I mentioned earlier. You look at the difference of speed between Nick Pope coming off his line and Dubravka.
Oh, it was so
there was a
different,
couple of balls yesterday. Look how hesitant Dubravka is before he decides to come out. He stutters, and then he comes out. It's just completely different.
We saw it in pre-season, didn't we? They're so different. They're so different.
Completely different.
We saw it at Hillsborough, to be fair. I mean,
yes, we did.
And also because his starting position is so much deeper than Pope's as well. He's stuck on his line all the time. And
Pope is always aware. Pope is always on the edge of his box, and he's ready. Jay Devlin, thank you very much for your £5 super chat. Defense mentality needs to be out to protect Karius as a teammate. Show him he has help, and we'll be all right there. Andrew DB, me and you are going to fall out, son. You are coming out with some belters tonight. Gordon was better than Maxi. On what planet were you watching the football last night, Andrew? Or have you had a little tipple this afternoon and you're just thinking, heck it. Because, I mean, I love you, bro. I love you, but come on.
I mean, Maxi could have had a 4th-minute assist when he played Miggy through. Literally, he was doing good things from the first few minutes. Arguably could have had 1 or 2 assists if people were a bit more clinical.
Yep. Paul Gallant, good evening to you. I hope your leg's all right. I gather you took a tumble in St. James's Park yesterday. I saw your video and you were a little bit of pain.
Did anyone see what Nick Pope did when he got up after sending off? He nearly broke Dan Burns' leg as well. he clattered into him. And Dan Burns went down holding. Yeah. He went down holding.
I didn't see that.
It was just a comedy of errors from minute 1 to when it finished.
Yeah. Dan says, I've noticed the Liverpool fans are really quiet on social media. They know full well they got away with one this weekend.
If they're going to play like that against Real Madrid, they're not going to do very well because Real Madrid are better than us.
Defend like that, and they will lose quite convincingly. I don't think... I think Klopp's got a lot of rebuilding to do defensively next season. I mean, I wasn't impressed with Salah yesterday. I mean, he seemed flattered to deceive a lot of the times. The player that stood out for me was Núñez, and I never thought I'd say that because, we questioned, doing the preview last week when Doug was on, we were saying, is he, all that with the Liverpool fans? But he took that goal yesterday. I mean, he's all over there. And I think, Billy, you made a point a couple of weeks ago saying that he doesn't score a lot of goals at the minute, but he's everywhere on the pitch and causes so many problems. And Trippier was really, really worried about him yesterday, and he got the better of Trippier numerous times.
He certainly did. I mean, and he also did a lot of defensive work also. I mean, I can remember him making a tackle in the second half before he went off and put it out for corner. But just on Salah, the pass that he put through to Gakpo was absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yes.
That pass alone was world class.
Yeah.
And he wasn't great as looking for goal scoring things, but
But I thought, we were worried about obviously the Dan Burn situation with Salah yesterday, and it never materialised because I think Dan Burn had his best game for a long time yesterday. I thought he was really good. Scotty B, thank you very much for your $4.99 super chat. He says, glad it's not all about unbeaten records now. Pressure is off, and ASM was class. But we just mentioned Dan Burn there, and you've all sort of nodded your head when I said he was really good yesterday. I thought he stood out. He was our best defender yesterday.
By country mile. Outstanding.
Yep. Ab says, I think Gordon is a squad player, good quality, potential, and gives us options, but a squad player for me. Interesting. Jan says
21.
Yeah, he's a kid. Gordon and Isak must start. They are key. So do Maxi and Miggy. Never mind fourth place. We will make it, no worries. Jan is very confident.
I mean, you've listed 4 attackers there, so I'm not sure how you're fitting all of them on, but
just hoy them on. Sod it.
Get them on.
Ab says those who call for Eddie to be sacked are nothing but morons. I'd agree with that. It's ridiculous, to be honest. Absolutely ridiculous. By the way, shirts have been dispatched. Your Wembley shirts. I have spent the weekend packing, labeling, and posting. Billy and Alex, yours will be posted tomorrow, first class. So they will arrive with you hopefully on Tuesday.
I mean, you could have just brought it down, to be fair.
What's the point of bringing it down just before Wembley? You want to wear it on a couple of the shows, Alex.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, good point.
Peter Dolan is not happy. I don't know why, but this guy clearly not a fan of you, Alex.
Okay.
Alex, will you shut the hell up and realise this is Paul's show? It's not yours, and have the very basic of manners to allow him to finish the sentence before you jump in and dominate. Peter.
Well,
Alex, let me. Peter, I know. Listen, I know you remember Peter, and we thank you for that. But listen, the whole point of football topical debate is you always jump in with comments. It's like you're sitting with your mates in the pub, and you're chatting about football. It's very rare that you get to finish your sentence and stuff like that because people are very passionate about putting their point across. Alex is, Billy is, I am. We all interrupt each other at some point in the show. Me probably more than anyone else, but I've got to control these two firecrackers at times when feelings are running high and things like that. So I probably do it more than Alex. Come on, Peter, that's a bit harsh, mate. And Alex, normally 95% of the time, Alex says some decent stuff. The other 5%, I'll agree. He's a bellend at times, especially when he's taking digs at me. But you know what? Alex is here for a reason. He's a credit to the show. So as is Billy. So very, very harsh, Peter.
There is a reason for it. There is a reason. And that's because Paul controls comments. So sometimes if he comes up with an interesting point and I've got an interesting point I want to make back, I have to very quickly get in before he starts reading the next comment because he's the comment controller. I don't have that issue with Billy, because there's always a gap for me to respond. Whereas if Paul will finish his sentence and go straight into a comment, not on purpose, it's just for the flow of the show. So I have to quickly try and jump in to get the comment in. Otherwise, maybe I have a valuable point that people will find interesting. And
you might forget it.
Missing a gap, and I might forget it. So it's not that I'm trying to interrupt necessarily. It's that sometimes I'll have to squeeze in between.
But also,
comments.
like you say, you have to because there's so many comments come in now in the chat. I'm trying to get through as many as I can, but at times we have to talk about other things. So I can't read every comment out. It's impossible. But if I go onto a comment, but Alex needs to make a point, he's got to interrupt me. So, it's not manners at all. He's got to. Scotty B says, thanks for your $1.99, buddy. Says, proud of the lads. Pope was unlucky, gutted for him. I mean, I'm devastated for him, Billy. I really am because, especially some of the ridiculous, hate he's got on social media, calling him an idiot and all that sort of stuff. After what he's done for us this year, I mean, it's mental. And the one, like I said earlier in the show, the one person that'll be feeling it more than anybody else is Nick Pope himself.
100%. He'll be absolutely gutted. Added to that, Mr. Southgate was there yesterday as well to watch it. So I don't know if that's going to push him down, not down the pecking order as such, but it won't be a good mark in his book, will it, with the England manager there? So all things considered, it's just a bad day at the office for Finnick Pope. But let's face it, he's had 20 fantastic ones. So
Yeah.
I can't really say a lot.
Geordie boy, thanks for your £5 super chat, buddy. He says, I was a little down at the start of this, but I've got me Miggy smile back. Thanks, lads. You're very welcome. HG says, as a Liverpool fan, I have a sweet spot for Newcastle and their history. I wish you all the best in the world. Thank you very, very much. Richard from the Arsenal podcast, great guy, friend of the channel. Go and check his channel out, guys. He says, I don't often say this, but I agree with Lineker. What? Pope should play in the finals. It's a different competition. The Premier League is FA run. The EFL is run by the Football League. I actually agree with that, but listen, we can. It's stupid rules.
Bruno missed the final, wouldn't he? So which one do you want? Which one you don't want?
Well, that's a good point as well. Yeah. Let's move on.
Different rules. There's different rules for all of them. I remember when we. Do you remember when we first bought Hatem Ben Arfa, and then we qualified for Europe? He had an existing suspension from when he was at Lyon, I think, or somewhere. He was at somewhere in France, and he got a European ban. So then when we did qualify for the Europa League with Pardew, he couldn't play in the first match because he'd still got a suspension, even though he'd been with us for ages.
I remember that, yeah.
Really weird.
Yeah, I remember that. Jim says Pope should have had support and not have to come out like he did. A few times they hit a long ball, and no one was even close to getting back. I actually agree with Jim there. You know, if you look very closely, some of those over-the-top balls that were played before the sending off, we just switched off yesterday. I don't understand why.
We were a little bit too high, weren't we? A little bit too much.
And you can't play a high line with players like Nunez and Gakpo and Salah. They'll take you apart. I wasn't sure about Cody Gakpo, but after watching him yesterday, I think he's a hell of a signing for them, by the way. Really good player. Flatters to deceive, but he's very, very good. And that, just to stay on side yesterday for the goal, he took it really well. Wonderful pass, as Billy said earlier. But, they've got a very, very good front line. But, Fabinho, he looks a yard short of he's finished for me. Made a bad foul again yesterday. He's just all over the shop. Sean Lovick, thank you for your £5 super chat. He says, if we appeal on Friday, then Nick Pope can play in the final. Then if we lose the appeal, Pope will miss 2 Premier League games. No, he could get an extension. Don't forget that. They could extend his suspension, which we don't want. I don't want Dubravka back in goal. For all there is Dubravka fans out there, I don't want him back in goal. I think for me, he looked very. I mean, he made a brilliant save. Don't in the second half. I mean, wonderful save. But no, I don't think they'll appeal it. How stupid would they be to appeal it, though?
Well, our next game is somebody said Arsenal. I think it's not. It's Man City at the Etihad.
Yeah, we're playing at the Etihad, and then it's Wolves at home.
It's Wolves at home, yeah.
So
Forest away against Shelby and Chris Wood. Oh, God.
I know. And of course,
you just see him scoring, can't you?
Well, they're both permanent players now. So, and of course, Chris Wood did score against Man City on yesterday. So it was a tap-in, but normally Chris Wood's tap-ins end up at the space station. But this one went in the back of the net for some reason. James says, hi, Paul, Alex, and Billy. I did call the right score on your preview. But if you took out 20 minutes of the game, we actually played a lot better than we did at Bournemouth. We just need to move on. Yeah, look, like Alex said before, he's right what he says. We are in a little bit of a lull. But look, there's positives for the cup final. Bruno's back. That is the biggest positive. Karius, whatever you think of him, will be fired up for this game because he will want to prove a few people wrong and he will want to get one over Manchester United, being an ex-Liverpool player. So, there is positives to come out the game. And look, I was worried about Rashford against Dan Burn. I'm not anymore because I think Dan Burn looks like he's refreshed. He's worked hard in training. We have got, I don't care what anybody says, we are capable of going and beating Manchester United next week, Billy.
No, 100% agree. I 100% agree. We have got to play to the best of our ability. We can't go in there with 1 or 2 players not playing well. We've all got to play to a full potential. But if we do that, I think we'll beat them. I do, honestly. And I see no reason why we don't do that. So, yeah, I think I'm very positive for it. Even so, after Nick Pope being sent off, I still believe we can beat them and even stop them from scoring.
Yeah, why not? I mean, we've been defensively brilliant. What's not to say that we cannot go to Wembley next Sunday and be just as brilliant defensively? They've had a couple of bad games, get it out the system and start again. And I'm sure that's what Eddie will be saying as well to the players. Just don't panic. Let's just have a good week in training. Let's look forward to this huge event. Put the Premier League on the back burner for now until after the cup final. Then we go again in the Premier League. This is a one-off. It's a final. Anything can happen. And they'll certainly have the backing from the support. Anything can happen in that final. Up the A1, thank you very much for your £5 super chat. Don't forget, we're at near full strength for the final. Great believer in circumstances. Whoever ends up in goal will be our hero. Up the Toon. Yes, whoever ends up in goal will be our hero as long as it's not Gillespie. I Like Coffee says, reaching the final is an achievement in itself, regardless of the result, whether we win or lose. We should be proud of the team, our manager, our owners, the club and the staff for this journey so far. Well said. Well said. Right. We'll move on to the player ratings. Guys, we are back on tonight again at 8 o'clock, but over on the Loaded channel. Loaded Mag NUFC at 8 o'clock. So don't forget to join us on there. That will probably be quite a lively show because I think there's going to, difference of opinions in players and how they played yesterday, but also looking forward to the cup final. It's going to be a great show. Right. Let us start off with Nick Pope. Alex.
I mean, he can have... Right, we'll start him on a 5. He did a couple of good things, and then the massive error down to a 3. 3. Yeah, it's just a shame. Yeah. Can't give him any higher than that, can I?
Well, I'm giving him a 2. I hate doing it because I've just praised him to that. And now he's obviously, but if we're being honest, the sending off, you can't give him a high score, Billy.
10. No, obviously not. I felt he should have died for the Nunez
on this show.
No, I thought he should have died for the Nunez shot. He just stood there, didn't do anything. If he'd have died for it, he might have saved it.
What? Nah, Billy.
He just stood there, didn't do anything.
He put his
laces through. It was going at 150 miles an hour. It was going at the speed of sound.
It went about a yard away from him. I think
Billy, if he'd have put his hand in the way of that, his hand would have been in the goal as well, and he would have been handless for the rest of his life. I think you've been very harsh there.
He should have made a token effort, and he didn't get out quick enough to Gakpo for the second. But it's not totally his fault for that. Red card as well, but I'm going to give him a 2 also.
Okay. Right, moving across to right back, Kieran Trippier. Billy, we'll start with yourself on this one.
His set pieces was fantastic. That's what I'll say for starters. However, I do blame him for the second goal for certain. The offside line was horrific. He's standing a yard behind everyone else, and had he been in line, Gakpo would have been offside. Defensively, very, very poor, to be honest.
Yeah.
But set pieces were better. I'm going to give him a 4.
Okay. Alex?
I thought he was great in parts of the game and shocking in other parts. It's a tough one. I'm going to give him a 6. He made 5 key passes, 5 accurate crosses, lots of tackles and duels, but then, the offsides, the positioning... I'll give him a 6. I think he's done enough to get a reasonable score for his contribution, but then the mistakes drag it down.
Interesting.
I'll give him a 6.
I'm going with a 5. Many same reasons, really. I mean, we've got a lot of 4s and 5s in the comments. Ash has given Trippier a 7. I don't.
I mean, even appealing for the handball and not playing to the whistle, he could have at least got close to Nunez. You know what I mean?
Well, we did hammer Dan Burn last week, to be fair, for doing the same thing against Bournemouth. So we've got to be consistent with that. You can't stop and expect the referee. I mean, it wasn't even a handball, but there you go. Anyway, across to the left-hand side, Dan Burn. I'm giving Dan Burn an 8. That's the best I've seen Dan Burn in many, many weeks. Looking like his normal self. He looked like he was actually enjoying himself out there. He was up for the challenge and, played very well. Made some Nice little moves to ease the pressure off. Seemed to combine very well with Joe Linton at times to get out of trouble defensively. So I was very happy with the big man. So 8 from me. Alex?
Yeah, I think an 8's fair. 2 successful dribbles from him. Better, much better for a left back of his size.
Dan Burn dribbles in the same sentence is a bit bizarre, but yeah, you're right.
The jaws were great. Hit the crossbar. Much better. You can have an 8, yeah.
Yeah. Billy?
Yeah, I thought it was outstanding. Out the back four is, without doubt, my countryman, our best defender of the day. Played well at left back. Overlapped really well as well for a change. Hit the bar. Got to give him the captain's armband and grew another foot. And then made about 4 or 5 fantastic latch stitch blocks. So I want to give him a 9, actually.
Oh, I didn't see that. Did he get the armband, did he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
nice.
One off, yeah. Okay. Moving into the middle, Fabian Schär, Billy.
Ball over his head 20 times, 30 times, 40 times. Some of his pass was okay, but I'm going to give him a 5.
Yeah, I'm going with a 5 as well. Probably one of the... I mean, as you know, I'm a big Fabian Schär fan, and but you have to be honest when players don't play as well as they can, and I don't think Schär was at the races yesterday, so 5 for me. Alex?
Yeah, I'll give him a 5 as well.
Okay.
He's got 0.5 XG on his own. He's got to start hitting the target. If he's going to be part of the set pieces, you got to hit the target. Well, it's getting frustrating now.
That header in the second half, I mean, anybody can remember it. He had it was a clear header, and he put it about 6 foot wide of the goal, at least 6 foot wide of the goal. And then he looked across to the other players as if to say, "Well, you should be running on. You should be hitting the target from that." A free header from there, you should be hitting the target.
Being credited with 0.5 XG means it was a good opportunity statistically and visually. So 6 accurate long balls, but it's not enough to save his rating, I'm afraid.
Yeah,
not with the mistakes.
Majority of the chat are going with 4s and 5s.
Yeah,
totally agree. Right, Dan. Hey, Sven Sven Botman. Alex, we'll start with you on Sven.
Better than Schär, but was still a bit suspect positionally as well. I mean, the defense got split multiple times. I think that was that long ball. I think it was between Schär and Trippier, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it didn't go between. It didn't go. But I thought yesterday it was between the centre backs until I've watched it back.
Yeah, it's not Botman's fault then.
Both times it was Schär and Trips.
I don't think we utilised him enough, really. I mean, 89% passing accuracy. He's just a monster at passing.
Yeah.
I thought he was fairly solid, to be fair. I don't think he did anything wrong. I thought the goals weren't really his fault. And he can only go with the line. He can't just wander off. So the high line is not... He can't dictate that himself. I'd give him a 7. I don't think he did anything wrong, really.
Yeah, I'm going with a 7 as well. I thought he combined well with Dan Burn on the left-hand side. And I just think he got... I think he got quite a shock at, Schär not at his usual standard, and he was more reluctant to give him the ball a lot of the time. He was going left to Dan Burn and then up the line to Maxi and creating attacks from that way. So, 7 for me. Billy?
Yeah, I'll agree with it. I'll agree with everything you've both said, but I'm going to give him a 6 because the ball did go over his head a few times, but just not for goals.
Okay,
so his start position weren't great, so I'll give him a 6.
Ronald's given him a 4. I think that's a bit harsh, Ronald, but 5s and 6s coming in for Sven Botman. Right, into midfield. We'll start with Sean Longstaff. Billy?
Yeah, he was at fault for sending off, but apart from that, I thought he had a pretty good game, actually, Longstaff. I thought he mopped up quite well. Passing was good, got involved with the attacking play.
Yeah,
I think he deserves a 7.
Okay, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for the mistake, I'd have given him an 8, but I'll give him a 7 because of the mistake. He drew 2 fouls for us, but didn't commit any fouls. He's learning. He's doing very solid, winning loads of duels, 91% passing accuracy, completed all of his long balls. He's definitely grown up. He's grown up. He's playing all right, to be fair. He's all right.
He is. I'm the same. I'm going to give him a 7. Would have get like you, Alex. I would have given him an 8 had he not made that error for the goal. But again, he seems to be improving remarkably well. You can tell that Eddie Howe's working with him. his fitness is improving every single week, and he's getting stuck in, which I like to see now. We accused Longstaff, a year and a half ago of just not getting stuck in because I think he was very worried about his injury. However, that seems to now be completely in the past because he's going in for 50-50s all the time. He's making sure that 9 out of 10 times he comes out with the ball. So I was pleased with Longstaff yesterday. So I'm giving him a 7. Now, Elliot Anderson is very difficult to mark because, he only played 20 odd minutes, didn't he? So, I mean,
he played 24 minutes apparently.
Yeah. So he came off at the sending off. So, look, I thought he did well. I'm going to give him a 7. I thought the first 20 minutes he did really well. He looked very, very lively. He was linking up with Maxi very well. And I'd love to have seen what could have come of that had we kept 11 players on the pitch. But, it wasn't his fault that he had to come off. I think it was inevitable that he was the player that was going to be replaced. I'm going with a 7. Billy?
Yeah, beautiful bit of footwork to get to draw the foul from Fabinho for the free kick that led to that defence sending off. And before that, he looked pretty good. But, yeah, I'm going to give him a 7.
Alex?
I'll give him a 7. I'm tempted to give him a 6, but I think his off the ball stuff was great, but he wasn't involved that much. 6 touches of the ball, completed 1 pass. He wasn't as involved as maybe people think. But his off the ball was really good. And he didn't do anything wrong. It's not his fault he's had to come off. So I'll give him a 7. I won't be mean.
Okay. Rachel's heading off now to go and see Ant-Man. Enjoy, Rach. You deserve it. Go and have a quiet night and enjoy the film. Right, we'll move to Joelinton now. Alex.
I don't know. 7.
Okay.
I mean, we lost 2-0. I can't give him an 8. I'm sorry, I can't. But again, he did great considering we were down a man. Completed all of his long balls, 86% pass accuracy, is really solid. Mm-hmm. Again, very mature performance. Didn't foul anyone. He was very careful. But, I was a little bit annoyed with him arguing with Eddie Howe on the sidelines. If Eddie Howe says get off that pitch. We don't want any Chelsea antics with Sarri. I'm not having that. I appreciate he wants to stay on. But if Bossman says get off. I'm not having that. Don't fight with your own teammates. We've got a bad history with teammates fighting. We don't want any more of that.
Look, I don't mind that in a way because it's pure passion with Joelinton. We know
it is, and that's great. But at the same time, it can cause the other players to get distracted. Just get off.
The hugged when he came off, so there was no there was no animosity there. So
Eddie Howe just said he's doing it for him. He was doing it, just in case.
Which is fair enough. But I'm going to go with an 8, Alex. I know we lost 2-0, but if we're giving Dan Burn an 8, Joelinton was just a part of that defending. Yeah, Joelinton was just a part of that left-hand side defending. Dan Burn and him, there was some lovely little 1-2s between the pair of them to get out of trouble. And they did it numerous times in the game. And it was funny because Salah looked like he was chasing fairies at times, trying to close them down. And it was exceptional play. So Joelinton stood out for me again yesterday with Big Dan Burn, so he gets an 8. Billy?
I thought it was anonymous for the first half an hour. I honestly thought it's really? Playing. Yeah, he hadn't touched the ball. But hardly mentioned his name. But as the game went on, he did come into it much more. And by the time it went off, he was a shining beacon in that middle of the park. I think 8's a bit generous, so I'm going to give him a 7.
Okay, that's fair enough. Let's have a look.
I wish he'd have passed from that shot as well. I think
a
bit selfish. I know everybody has the right to pull the trigger once in a game, but there were people in better positions.
Paul says Joelinton sits down in every game holding his legs. He's always okay, though. Yeah, he likes that. It always happens in the second half. There's always a point where if Newcastle are under a lot of pressure for a few minutes, when the ball goes out of play, Joelinton will take a seat and cramp will appear. And it just softens, it just calms us down a little bit.
Dan Burn go down with cramp, and Robertson had to stretch him, and he was like up here trying to stretch Dan Burn because he's so much taller. It was hilarious.
It was good of Robertson because he could have just left him, but it was good of him, and I think he got a nice round of applause from the Newcastle fans actually when he went to take the corner for helping him out. Right, we move into the front three. We'll start with Miggy, and we'll start with you, Alex.
I thought he was bright. I think he came off at the right time. I think he should have scored that shot though. That chance early doors. I'm gonna give him a 7. Yeah. I'm gonna give him a 7. But he definitely could have scored in that game.
Oh, absolutely, Billy.
Yeah, I agree with that. Should have scored. But apart from that, when we went to 10 men, he was floating all over the pitch and causing trouble, and he also helped trip you out an awful lot defensively. Yeah. And at one point, he got a yellow card for it, but had he not ran back to foul Salah was in on goal. So, yeah, I think 7's fair.
Did anyone see in the second half, though, he actually hit a shot with his right foot on the edge of the box?
He did, and just wasn't that far wide.
It wasn't far wide either, which I couldn't believe it. I mean, chin hit the floor. I'm going with a 7 as well. I thought Miggy was his normal tenacious self. But obviously, the sending off, we couldn't utilize him as much as we would normally do with 11 men. He was good for counter-attacking and good for breaking away and getting us a bit of space. I couldn't actually believe how many times or how much space Miggy was in the second half. The sort of last 20 minutes of the game, he was on his own. Liverpool just, I don't know where Robertson was going, but him and Van Dijk just left him. It was bizarre. But yeah, 7 for me. Right into the middle with Alexander Isak. I'm giving him a 6. I think there's promising things there from Isak, especially linking up with Maxi. I think there's a lot more to come with them too. It's clear that you can see that they're working on little intricate 1-2s and stuff like that, which they're probably doing in training. So 6 for me. But I do think he needs to shoot a bit more, guys. I think for some reason, he's reluctant to shoot. But I don't know what that is. But it's a 6 for me. Billy?
I thought with the ball at his feet, it was an absolute danger to Liverpool. I thought it was just such a threat. And some of the dribbles he made was fantastic. He didn't play with his back to goal this week because we're down to 10 men. It didn't really suit that way. We were getting the ball through Maxi, and the link-up play with him and Maxi was outstanding at times. I'm going to give him an 8, Isak.
An 8?
An 8. I thought it was a real threat at all times of the game.
Okay. That's your opinion. You're welcome to it. Alex?
I'll go in the middle. I'll say 7. But
you honestly.
I mean, 1 out of 4 duels again. He needs to be winning. He needs to be a bit more physical. But when he turns and runs, he is very special. His technical ability is absurd. I'm excited to see him for the rest of the season. I want to see him play more minutes because I'm sure we're going to get some outrageous goals from him, outrageous like dribbling, and he's very, very good. It just didn't quite work. It is Liverpool at the end of the day. He did what he could. Yeah.
Right, Maxi. I am delighted to give Maxi a 9. Best player on the pitch for us yesterday, no doubt in my mind. You could see at the start of the game he was up for it. He was wanting the ball. And what I was impressed about with Maxi yesterday was he was coming to the ball now. Instead of letting the ball come to him, he was running to the ball and making himself available on numerous times, picking the ball up and doing what Maxi does best, driving at the defenders that didn't know whether he's going outside, inside. He linked up well with Isak. He linked up well with Miggy, and he's passing the ball when he should. And, long may that continue. So a 9 for me. Alex?
Yeah, he deserves a 9, definitely. 2 key passes, 1 to Miggy, 1 to Isak. Completed 7 dribbles in a game, which is ludicrous. The Sky Sports stat said 9. That's wrong. It's 7. He attempted 9. He completed 7. There's a big difference. Hit the post as well. Had a few shots. Fearless, energetic, contributing with the frontline press. Well, when we had 11 players. We just need that. Whatever that was, do more of that, please, Maxi. Whatever you had to drink or eat, do it again.
Absolutely.
Because we need it on Sunday.
Yeah. Billy, before you give yours, we were talking about, there's some decent Liverpool fans out there. There's also some dickheads. Darwin Núñez ripped you apart yesterday. Tell me, Ma, I'm coming home with no trophies. Can't wait to watch you slip from top 4 now. Botman laughing emojis. Saliba's clear.
Well, we know what the C stands for your username, don't we?
Yes, absolutely. See you next Tuesday. What a pathetic comment to make. You absolute monumental shithouse. Seriously. I mean, Darwin Núñez didn't rip us apart. He scored a bloody good goal, and we said he did. But Maxi tore you apart as well. You can't come out and be all whoopee-doo for Liverpool, because Real Madrid will absolutely bust your ass wide open next week if you play as badly defensively as you did yesterday. Bloody hell, man. Get a grip of your life. Sad scouse. Anyway, Billy.
As for Maxi, yeah, honestly, he should have had an assist. Forced Alisson to parry on the bar. Possible another assist with Isak's chance. He was phenomenal yesterday. People have criticised him for having no effort. He put 200% effort in yesterday. He was absolutely outstanding. I think 9's a bit harsh. I'm going to give him a 10.
Really? Billy?
I'd have given him a 10 if he'd have scored.
Yeah. But hey,
he should have had an assist, shouldn't he? Let's be honest. It's not his fault. Miggy can't finish that. And
Miggy,
really that's a good point. Yeah,
and the Isak one again was a fantastic pass, and I think Isak maybe should have scored also. But yeah, it was a 10 out of 10 yesterday. It was outstanding.
By the way, I've just realised, and Spacebar's picked it up. Saliba doesn't play for Liverpool. What's he talking about Saliba for?
Because the comparison in the league is Saliba or Botman for the best left-sided centre-back. That's like a thing. So he's So he spends too much time on social media, basically.
Perhaps he's an Arsenal supporter then.
Yeah. In other words, what Alex is saying is back in your dungeon playing with your Willie. Anyway, let's move on to the substitutes now, and we'll start with Anthony Gordon. Billy.
Good run through for the potential assist to Wilson. I actually thought he should have gone on his own. I think he had the pace to get through that. So give it to Wilson. There you go. Got robbed a few times. I'm going to give him a 6.
Okay. Alex?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a look at his stats, and his stats are better than my opinion of his game with my own eyes. So maybe I was a bit harsh on him. I might go back and have a look. I always watch the matches twice. I'll go back and maybe reassess that. I just remember him being poor, but the passes seemed quite good, and he did a little bit. I'll give him a 6. Yeah. But again, he's young, and he came into a very difficult game. He'll be fine.
I'll go with a 6 as well for exactly the reasons that you guys have just given. But don't worry, Alex, I haven't forgot Dubravka. Right. Jacob Murphy also came on. I mean, look, I don't think Jacob was... I'm going with a 5 for Murphy. I don't think he did anything, actually, when he was on the pitch, to be fair. Alex?
He did come on at right back, though, didn't he?
Well, yeah, exactly. But he
did a lot of good things at right back, I thought.
Okay.
He won us a couple of goal kicks when they were like up to the byline, and he won 2 goal kicks.
Yep.
Which is pretty solid considering he's a winger. I thought he did all right. He was poor offensively and okay defensively. But he's never been very good at attacking, even though that's literally his job. But he did all right. He knows he's a meme at this point. He knows he's just a fan of the club. And as long as he comes on and he tries his socks off, that's fine. It is what it is right now. He seems happy. We're happy with him as long as he tries and doesn't make mistakes.
Yeah.
He was all right.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm not even going to give him a rating. I'm just going to give him a meme rating because he's funny.
A meme, okay. Billy, what about yourself?
No, I'll just give him a 6. But I thought he did okay as a defender, like Alex says.
Yeah.
Nothing in attack, though.
Okay.
He ran up to the halfway line and just turned around and went backwards. He was like, no, I'm scared.
And finally, Matt Ritchie. Billy.
I thought it was okay. I thought he showed a lot of commitment and effort and a couple of good crosses. I'll give him a 6.
Fair enough. I'm going with a 6 as well. Alex?
Yeah, 6. He did what he was meant to do, I guess.
It's fair enough. and who? Well, Dubravka, Billy.
Oh, and Wilson. We've got Wilson as well.
Oh, Wilson as well. Well, we'll go Dubravka next, Billy.
Obviously, he's a different kind of goalkeeper from what Pope is, but I thought he made 2 or 3 really good saves actually. So I'm going to give him a 7.
Okay, yeah, I'm going with a 7 as well. For all I'm not too sure of him anymore. As Billy says, made some very, very good saves. So 7 for me, Alex.
Yeah, 7's fair. Two successful run-outs, considering it's not his game. Good saves. He deserves a 7.
Well, it was successful when he decided to eventually run out. Once he does the hokey-cokey a couple of times, and then he eventually comes out. He does a bloody hokey-cokey. He's like, you put your right foot in, your right foot out, in, out, and then you decide to run for the ball. Callum Wilson, 4 for me. He's not at the races. And that miss just summed it up for me yesterday. So I got quite angry when he missed that opportunity to the point where I just missed clouting Phoebe over the head. So not the races. 4 for me. Alex?
I was going to give 5 for the same reasons, but 4 is appropriate. He shouldn't have missed that. And it just looked like somebody's taken the batteries out of Isak. It just looks like a slower, smaller version of Isak. And it's really I don't even know what the right word is. It's frustratingly obvious when we swap him how much slower he is.
Yeah, it's monumentally clear this illness has knocked him.
But I swear in my mind, like if I try and remember to early November, late October, he was rapid. He was pressing everywhere. He was so fast. And now he comes on the pitch and he just seems like he's half of Isak. I just, maybe I'm misremembering it, or maybe it's the illness. Something's not particularly right. He still seems pretty hungry. He got in the opportunity to score. He's still a great striker, and he's going to be hopefully useful to us on Sunday. Yeah. But I don't know.
By the way, I need to address this. Please, everybody in the comments, don't think that I was trying to attempt to hit my daughter. I went to punch my leg as if to say, "Oh, damn it," and just missed hers. So let's not put in that I beat my daughter. Billy, yourself?
Yeah, he should have scored, but it was a great save, Madison. But he should have scored. Shouldn't have had a chance to save it. Yeah, I think 4's pretty fair actually, because he does look a shadow of his former self. I've got to say.
Yeah. Right. Finally, the manager, Billy.
I'm going to give him a 6. I think you've got to go horses for courses. You've got to defend a little bit deeper against Liverpool because of the way they play with the pace they've got up front, and especially with the players that are available. I think to get Gordon in the side, we could have gone 4-2-3-1, and we should have done. So I'm going to give him a 6.
Sophia says there were so many trolls in the room yesterday during the watch along, mainly from Liverpool, I gather, Billy.
Who knows?
Well, it's very difficult to watch alongs when you're getting so many people watching. You'll always get trolls, and it's a sad affair that those trolls are just, they crawl out from under the rocks thinking that they're Billy Big Bollocks, and they're just pathetic little dweebs, and that's all you have to think of them. But there you go, Alex. Anyhow, for you,
I'm going to give him a 7. I think it's a bit harsh. I think I'm going to give him the additional score for being brave and sticking to the formation. I think it must have been a very difficult conversation with the entire coaching staff to talk about formations and possibilities. And I think they've tried to be consistent with their idea because, we were very critical of our previous managers for just constantly changing things and just being so erratic that if we're going to be like that, then I need to point out when he's sticking with his guns and they're sticking with the decisions. And I like that. He doesn't care what the outside influence is irrelevant. They're like, we think this is going to be the best option to win. We're going to play this. And I like the confidence in the coaching team for doing that. I think the subs were good. I wasn't expecting a Trippier change. I think that was a good shout and it didn't hurt anything really. I thought the subs were at the right time personally.
Okay. I think Koyman is actually admitting he's a troll. Dweebs. Oh, at least I'm not a blind stay-at-home dad, bro. Stay-at-home dad. I have Parkinson's, my friend. I don't stay at home out of choice.
To be a minor, like what do you want?
Yeah. Plus, this is what I do, and we're very successful at what we do on here. So, piss off to another channel, will you? You lot are just bell ends out there.
Surely there's like a Liverpool channel on right now celebrating.
Well, you would have thought so, but
they're here.
He may be Man United.
Well,
yeah.
But surely they're celebrating their win. Why are they here?
Absolute idiot. But, that's fair enough. I'm obviously just a blind stay-at-home dad. I mean, okay, if I was blind, I don't know how I can read the comments out, but there you go.
Well, you've got the right criteria to be a Premier League referee now.
Well, indeed. Absolutely. But there you go. That is the end of the review. Hope you've enjoyed it, guys. We will be back in around 35 minutes over on the Loaded Mag NUFC channel. There is sure to be a lot of interesting conversation on that show tonight.
Can I just mention Sky's coverage yesterday, by the way?
Yes, you can.
So they had the commentator and the presenter and 4 pundits.
Yeah.
The one pundit representing Newcastle also represented Liverpool, which was Rafa Benitez.
Yeah.
They had Jamie Redknapp, Kelly Dalglish's daughter presenting, obviously Liverpool.
Kids, yeah.
Jamie Carragher,
who was just in front of me alongside Martin Tyler.
With Martin Tyler. So,
yeah.
I mean, you couldn't get any more Liverpool biased if you tried.
Yeah.
We were the home team.
Yeah. Shamrock says, how empty is people's lives that they have to come on and insult people? Nothing wrong with being blind or a stay-at-home dad. Well, exactly. It's unbelievable. But, he obviously hasn't made any success of his life and he lives in a dungeon.
But it's the fact that he's probably either a Liverpool or Man United fan who should both be celebrating wins on their own YouTube channels.
Yeah.
Which is just weird why they're here.
I know. But there you go. Please do stick a like on the stream, guys, if you have enjoyed the show. And obviously, if you're new to the channel and like what you see, please do hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell as well, which will let you know when we go live, we upload, or we schedule in a live show. Now, if you do hit that notification button, that is just for this channel. It doesn't mean that you're switching all your notifications on. That is just for this channel, and it will let you know when we do upload something or we go live. So please do hit that. And finally, tomorrow, Billy, who is our special guest?
We have a member of the Newcastle United Supporters Trust Board, Greg Tomlinson, a good friend of mine, old friend of mine, who was formerly the chairman. Is going to come and discuss Strawberry Place development and ticketing and anything you want to ask him, really.
Yeah. So if you've got any questions you want to ask, please obviously take part in the chat tomorrow. We'll get through as many questions as we can. And obviously it'll be an interesting show with Greg. And of course, tomorrow we start the build-up for the... what is it? Are we in a cup final? Are we in a cup final?
I think it might be a cup final, yeah.
It's very hard to say that because it's been like so many years where I've never said the words cup final and Newcastle in the same sentence. But there you go. Shamrock says, agreed, Paul. You're a top bloke. See you all on the Loaded Show. Thank you very much, matey. Jack says, a lot of trolls on my stream. One claiming I wasn't an NUFC fan and I didn't know any other legends other than well, they're just bell ends, man. But you're always going to get them because
you are young. That's completely fair. I get schooled all the time. When we go back to like the 70s, I ain't got a clue. So don't worry about it, man. Your age is your age. You don't have to apologize for your age.
Yeah,
look, club or whatever age you start to.
Unfortunately, YouTube will get the bell ends in the chat all the time, and you just block them and then move on. Don't let them bother you anymore. Trust me, I'm speaking from experience. They're just sad individuals. But anyway, we look forward to seeing you in half an hour's time over on Loaded. But for now, we'll see you tomorrow night back on this channel for the obviously Greg Tomlinson joining us, and there may be a video tomorrow with any latest news building up to the cup final. But until then, guys, we'll see you on Loaded at 8 o'clock and back here tomorrow at 8 o'clock as well. Enjoy the rest of your night. Good night.
Away the lads and lasses.